Would you like to print beautiful customized prints from your images that are ready to frame? And are you also completely mystified by the print module in Lightroom? If you answered yes to either of these questions, then keep watching. Most people quickly get the hang of using the Library and Develop modules, but the other modules can be a bit of a mystery. It's also a fact that we have thousands of images on our hard drives, but we rarely print any of them. And that's a real shame. After all, they can decorate our homes, they make thoughtful gifts, and if you're a working photographer, of course they make you income. The print module can be a bit daunting at first, but I'd like to step you through it today so that you can see just how easy it is to use. So let's switch over to Lightroom. So here we are in Lightroom. Now the easiest way to start is to create a collection set and then a collection for your images. So for example, down here I have a collection set for this video, and I've placed a few images in here that I thought I might like to play with in this video, and so they're saved here. So you just drag them in from your folders to here. So let's select the image that we want to work with today. Now I'd actually like to work with this image of a gerbera in the white vase. So we click on this image to select it, and then we'll switch to the print module. And we'll eventually get there. Now this is not looking very promising when we first start, because it's just placed the image, anyway it felt like it, on the very first template that we see. But we're going to fix this. So the first thing you need to do is to actually forget about all the panels on the right hand side in the module and go down to page setup. Now today I've decided I want to make an 8x10 print, and I want to make it with a simulated mat around it. So an 8x10 print I can print on my printer, or I can send it out to a photo lab. But my printer can actually do these. So this is the Canon MG 6300 series. Now in Australia our default paper is A4, but I'm going to use 8x10 today, and we'll make it borderless. So let's select that. Now when I click on OK, you'll see that the dimensions have changed. Now, of course, it's still looking quite weird, but we'll move now to the right-hand side of the panel, and we'll start working our way down. So we can see down here that the layout style is single image or contact sheet, and that's what we're wanting to do today. I'm quite happy to leave zoom to fill on, but we do want to deselect rotate to fit, because that's caused some of the problems that we can see. Now my image has a white background and it's on a white or a simulated white sheet of paper. But because I want to make a simulated mat, I'm going to put a stroke border around, and I'm going to make this of a width of 1 point. Now I'm going to change the ruler units down here to inches, because I think that will be a little bit easier to see. Now the first thing we want to do is get rid of all the margins, because this is going to be a borderless print. So we'll move all those sliders to the left. Now this is correct, we have one row and one column, but at the moment we can see that the sizings are the wrong way round. So this was originally a 6-inch print. So I might actually select that and just type 6 in there, and then my width is going to be 4. And suddenly things are looking a lot better. However, at the moment, this print is centered on the page, which is actually very attractive, but I want to show you another little tweak of what you can do, which will make your print look like it's come from a gallery. And the first thing to do is to click on Show Guides, And now we can see where all the guides are on the page for the rulers and any margins and the image cell, etc. So in order to leave room for the identity plate that we're going to put on in a minute, we actually want to move the image up the page. Now the best way to do this is to actually increase the size of the bottom margin. So we'll move this up just a little bit, not too much because we do want to maintain the proportions. It's quite pleasing to have approximately the same amount of distance around. It doesn't have to be exact, but just approximate. I think 1 inch. Actually, I might just type that in. 1 inch will look really nice. Now, the next thing to do, which will make this print look professional, is to switch on the identity plate. Now, as you can see, this has placed a default text identity plate, but I think we can do a bit better than that. Now, I've been using identity plates for quite a long time, so you can see that I've got quite a few different ones down here, but the one I'd like to work with today is actually a graphical identity plate, which is my logo, actually a black and white version of my logo. Now, there is a quirk in Lightroom. Unfortunately, it doesn't have snap grids. So you have to be very careful when you're moving your identity plate that you don't move it from the vertical center. So the easiest way to do this is to carefully click on it without moving, and then just move your mouse out of the way, not with the mouse button held down. Then go to your arrow keys and choose the down arrow and move it downwards. So we keep moving it and we'll keep moving it until it gets to roughly where we think it might look nice. Now at this point I'm going to deselect show guides because I'd like to get a feeling for what it'll look like on the page. And no, I think that needs to go just a little bit lower. So I'll just carefully highlight it again and just use the down arrow another couple of times. And now I think it looks nice. Well, it nearly looks nice because quite frankly, it's far too black. We don't want it to compete with the image on the page. So let's lower the opacity. Now I think that as we lower the opacity, it's starting to look better and better. So I think about 30%. And I also think that for this image, the scale would also be really nice at 30%. So that's looking really good now. So what do we do at this point? Well, we want to get the print job ready, which is the last thing that you'll be wanting to do with this file. Now you have two choices. You can either print to a JPEG, which we'll actually discuss in a minute, or you can print to your printer. Now, with printing to your printer, you will want to switch on your print resolution to 300 dpi and also your print sharpening. Now, at this point, you'll need to decide what sort of paper you're going to use. Are you using a matte or a glossy paper? It all depends, and you'll need to pick the right amount of sharpening for the type of paper that you're using. I've never seen any reason to move away from standard print sharpening. It seems to do the trick very nicely. Now, the next thing to look at is the color management. Now, you definitely do not want to choose the first option. Managed by printer is the absolute worst option you could take. After you've gone to all the trouble to have, to use proper profiles within Lightroom, and then you allow the printer to manage your color. So the best option is to actually pick either one of the canned options, which I have here from Canon, which is a Canon glossy paper, or one down here, which I made myself, and I actually profiled my Epson premium glossy paper to use in my Canon printer. But I think I'll pick the glossy paper for today. And we'll leave the intent to perceptual. So as we can see with the little box down here, it preserves the out of gamut detail, but you might have a bit of a change with in-gamut colors, but that tends to work quite well. So if we were printing, we would click on Printer, Never Print, and we would then choose the right options down here. Now I have a number of presets already made up, but the main one to look at if you're using a Canon printer, obviously if you're using an Epson or some other printer, this dialog box will be a little bit different, but you'd want to be looking at your quality and your media, wherever that happens to be in your print dialog box. So the media type would be glossy, and in this case, because the paper is larger, it would be coming from the lower cassette. Now I just realized that I have a bit of a mismatch down here. My media type down here I placed as matte, but really I wanted glossy, so I'll just fix that before I go any further. So going back to the printer, we will go to Quality and Media. We want a glossy paper, the Glossy Paper Plus, and actually we want to change our print quality up to high, which will give us the maximum accuracy. Now if we were printing right now, we'd click on Print. I'll just cancel out. Now, if you don't have a printer that will give you a good quality print at home, you can actually print to JPEG and then transfer this JPEG to your local professional photo lab. And these days, that's something I do more and more because the photo lab has more papers with more sizes, and they do a great job and they don't cost very much. So printing to JPEG is really something that I do most often. Now, it's almost exactly the same. We have our file resolution at 300 pixels per inch. Now, the main thing also is here that your print lab will give you the information that you need for what you need to do to your file in order for them to print it successfully. So you must follow what they say. Now, the print lab that I use specify that the print file resolution needs to be at 300 pixels per inch. I'm using my usual standard print sharpening, and in this case we'll say that we're printing to glossy paper. The JPEG quality is always 100. There is never any reason to move it down from 100. You want the maximum quality in your image. Now with color management, most color labs will ask you to use the sRGB profile. This is of course different to the profile that is used in Lightroom, which is ProPhoto RGB, which is a much bigger profile space, color space. It's probably a good idea to double check your JPEG afterwards to make sure that the colors haven't shifted in a way that you find to be not pleasing. And again, the perceptual intent is probably better than relative, but you can try it both ways. It all depends. It depends on the print and what you like to see. And then finally, we'll print to file. At this point, you would save this file to somewhere that's convenient to you and then transfer the file to your ProPhoto lab. Now you've gone to all the trouble to create this beautiful print, so let's save it. And that way, if you need to come back to it, you can. So here you'll give it a meaningful name. So mine in this case is going to be print number 1, and I'm only going to include the used photos, and we'll create that there. Now that safeguards it just in case you want to come back to it at some point. But you may also want to use this style of printing for another image. So let's save this as a template. So down here in Template Browser, you'll see the little plus sign. So click on that and we'll give this a name. So matted print 8x10, and we'll put it in the user templates folder. And then we'll create. And there we can see it here. Now we might want to use this on another image. So let's go back to the library module and we'll go to our collection that we had. So again, we've highlighted our image and we'll go to the print module. And because we had this template already selected, it has placed the image in exactly the same spot. And so now we can make another print using this image. And there you have it. You have a beautiful professional print that is ready to frame, and you also have a brilliant template that you can use next time. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I make one video per week, uploaded on Wednesday at midday Australian Eastern Standard Time, on various aspects of using Lightroom. This has been another Lightroom Lightning tip from Rosanne, and I'll see you in my next video.